Welcome back to Attack on Titan anime review. This is part 5. This one I'm reviewing the two-part OVA that's an adaptation of, if I can find it, here we go. A Choice with No Regrets. Yep, this is the 4th and 5th anime, and it's split into two parts, where it's the adaptation of the miniseries A Choice with No Regrets, which was the backstory of Captain Levi. Yep, that's pretty much what this is. The first part just adapts the prelude and chapter 1. The second part adapts the remaining 7 chapters over the course of 30 minutes, which that's a lot of material for one episode. Yeah. But the story basically is this, is that it starts off with Levi and his two friends, Isabel and Franken, I think that's his name. Yeah, Franken. That's really, I think it's Franken. Yeah, Franken, the guy's name is. And they're basically just flying around in the 3D devices, and they're being chased by somebody later revealed to be the Survey Corps. And then it jumps back a little bit where they had just completed an assignment of raiding something, and they're paying their Levi and Franken are paying their subordinates. One of them they're paying a little bit more than usual, a little extra cash. And here's the thing about Levi. Levi is a neat freak, and so he's about to go, and then all of a sudden, like, he hears something bang at the door, and it's the character Isabel. Though she's introduced as Isabel at the moment, and she is carrying in her hand a bird. I am not kidding. She has a bird, and she wanted to take the 11th stairway up to the surface. Yeah, this whole first part takes place in underground. Yeah, in the underground city, which they did show this briefly, I believe, back in season 2. No, it wasn't season 2. It was season 1. Actually, it was season 2. This shows very briefly for like one episode of the whole population moving down there just to avoid the Titans because they thought because the wall had been breached. Wall Rose been breached, but nope, Wall Rose was definitely not breached, and they stayed there for like a week, and then they declared, "Oh, Wall Rose is perfectly fine." Yep, that's basically what they did. Yep. Yeah, this is back in season 2 when they decided to do that. Yep. So they have Isabel when one of the guys who apparently has dirty hands. So that's the reason why Levi beats the crap out of him and asks him to leave and never come back unless he cleans his hands. Yeah, because Levi is a neat freak because the underground is really dirty. Oh yeah, and apparently being on the ground for so long also affects your legs, which I'm like, okay, that's a little bizarre. There was a theory rolled around of the reason why he was so short. The reason why he's short of everybody else is because he didn't get enough sunlight. That's mainly the reason why. Yep. So they teach her how to. She has to join them, and they agree. They teach her how to use the 3D gear, which used pretty simply, and they go straight to a little hole, and they take the bird back to the surface. They have to hang out for a bit and do a raid. And of course, it pretty much picks up right where the beginning left off, where they're being chased and revealed to be the Survey Corps. Heck, Levi knows right away this is not the military police by looking at them because he recognizes their symbol right away. Probably because the guy is really smart. So, and this little chase goes on for a little while, and then they get captured, and it turns out the leader of this particular survey group is actually the guy who becomes the commander of the Survey Corps. Edwin Smith, like Irvin Smith. Yep, the same guy. Which I'm like, that's interesting. So the episode ends with him being offered to join the Survey Corps in exchange for a pardon. And Levi thought of it for a moment. Well, he says if he turns it down, he'll go to jail. He'll have military police and go to jail for a real long time. So Levi's like, okay. Of course, they also ask, like, where did they learn how to use it? And Frank says, we actually taught ourselves how to use this stuff. And Irwin was actually very surprised about that. Yep. the fact that they're self-taught. So Levi, Isabel, and Franken join the Survey Corps, and pretty much the next episode is them being part of the Survey Corps and showing off their skills. Heck, because these three know how to use the 3D gear, they actually had to bypass training them how to use it because they know how to use it. And also Isabel, which she's apparently fond of animals, she knows how to ride a horse because she's fond of animals. She just loves animals so much. So that's how well she knows how to ride a horse, which, okay, that's actually quite interesting. And Levi does something with the blades that is something noteworthy, that's noteworthy for happening in Star Wars EU, by turning the blade sideways, by facing the blade along your arm, which I know that a lot of people pointed that out when they saw, I think one person pointed it out when they saw Star Wars The Last Jedi, when they saw Rey doing that. So I'm like, okay, this is actually quite ingenious. And of course, Levi pulls off his famous 3D spin slash that he's famous for. That the same move that Miska picked up on and just taught herself after seeing Levi do it one time. Yep. And they're able to get through basic training, not much of a problem. Heck, everybody's shocked the fact. Now, Erwin is not the one in charge of these people. It's actually somebody else who actually becomes sort of an ally to Levi down the line. Zoe is actually in this one. And she plays a small role in here. And it's not exactly a big one, but she's actually in a good chunk of part 2. She's not in part 1, but she's definitely in part 2. And they go on their expedition, and I think this is supposed to be the 34th expedition, which is basically a reference to what happened with the first OVA with the whole expedition stuff. Yep. So, now, it's revealed that in the previous part, they were hired by this mysterious man who was actually an evil person, by the way, to do 2 things. Get evidence that Erwin Smith has on him and kill Erwin Smith. So they tried to kill him after, well, when it gets to the surface, like, Levi is like, okay, he'll do it because, well, if the 3 of them basically go off to do it themselves, it'll raise some suspicion. So his cover story is he just surveying the terrain, despite the fact it's actually really heavy rain. Yep. So they go out there, and he goes to find him, and then all of a sudden he hears a Titan. He somehow passes by a Titan during this all heavy rainstorm, and then he gets back to his friends, and they're both dead. Like, Isabel gets her head popped off, and Franken gets, like, I don't know, like, sliced in half by a Titan, and then Levi goes, well, before I get to this part, now these 2 actually do a really good job. Like, Levi kills one, like, no problem, and then the 3 of them kill off another Titan, and everybody's shocked the fact that these 3 rookies are able to take down a Titan in less than just a few minutes. So let's get back to this other one. So when he sees that his friends were basically killed by this Titan, Levi goes nuts. He slices this thing to pieces. Eventually, of course, he slices the back of his neck, but wow. Good thing that I think Erwin probably realizes, though, that after probably seeing this, like, he should not get on Levi's bad side. And then, of course, Levi reveals to him that about what he already knew, that he was hired to kill him. And the evidence he had on actually was bogus, and the real evidence was actually handed off to the commander, to actually who's in charge of the military, and the guy who was hired to do, I think his name's Niles something, I'm not really sure, some wealthy guy, and the guy's going up in jail. And now so he goes up in jail, and of course Levi stays with the Survey Corps. I'm not really sure how far back this particular story is. It could be Levi looks pretty much the same as he does in present day. I mean, if you look at present day, he looks like he's been doing this for a while, like 10, 15 years tops. So you could probably say that this particular series, that this particular OVA probably takes place about 10 to 20 years before the events of present day, because they actually will be because Wall Maria has they do not mention Wall Maria has fallen yet. So this is well before Wall Maria fell. So this is like It could be before the wall Maria fell, could be afterwards. I don't know. They don't specifically say what the date is in this particular series, in this particular OVA. Now, this particular one is canon to the anime, but apparently I've read this is not canon to the manga, which I'm like, that doesn't make much sense. Yeah, I would think it features the characters, it doesn't really contradict anything in present day, and yet for some reason it's not canon to canon to the manga. That honestly makes no sense. Yeah, so good OVA. I do recommend it basically for anybody who's a fan of that particular manga. It sticks pretty close to that original source material, which I do praise it for that. Though it doesn't go into like Levi's like early years, it doesn't go to that at all. Yeah, it doesn't talk about that at all. It actually doesn't really bring that up. It just focuses on this one story that takes place, looks like a period about a few weeks, probably at least a couple months. All right, so that's it for this particular one. Stay tuned for part 6 for the review of the last OVA released in, for now anyways, until April. That'll be part 6. Me. 7 will be the animated recap films. I'll get my thoughts on those. And part 8 will be the live action films. Yes, I will talk about these. And then pretty much the series, this particular anime review series, will go on hiatus until until the next OVA comes out, which is going to be in April, in 3 months. And then after that, the series will go on hold again. And it'll go on hold this time, not for 3 months per se. Actually, it will be for 3 months. Yep. Because the next time I'll probably do anything with the series, like after April, probably would not be until July. Unless, of course, I do specials where I talk about the newest chapter. Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. Is that right after I finish the series, I'll probably just do a series of specials where I talk about whatever the newest chapter of the manga is that came out. So, the most recent chapter that came out was chapter 101. I kind of gave my brief thoughts on it already, so I'm probably just going to save my thoughts on chapter 102 when it comes out next month, which probably will be the first week of next month because that's when the last chapter came out for this month. Came out the first week of this month. Yep. So until you see on my next video, which I'm doing that next, and you get my thoughts on the last OVA release. Okay. So I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.